There are two crucial points to remember when considering Jane Austen's life. She was from a large family, which was on the fringes of becoming upper class, but was essentially middle class. Perhaps the most important thing to bear in mind is that her social class was obsessed with ranking a person's family in a hierarchy because it hadn't quite made it. It wasn't part of the aristocracy, but wished to be, and it turned its noses up at the common middle class. Throughout the novel, we will see how this notion of ranking people predominates. Gossip about events, which occupies nearly half the text, is nearly always about the ways in which a person's behaviour betrays whether they are sincere or vulgar, and who might be marrying whom. This clearly was an obsession during Austen's own life, and in this sense it is the gossipy sections of the novel which are truest to her times, far more so than any of the romances that occupy the plots. Born on the 16th of December 1775 at her father's rectory at Steventon in Hampshire, Jane Austen was the seventh of 8 children. Her father, George Austen, was a highly respectable man, having gained a scholarship to Oxford, and after a stint as a schoolmaster, becoming a fellow of his college. After training to be a vicar, he was offered a living as vicar of the parish at Steventon. He was very much an establishment man, a vicar who did not like the new fashion for evangelizing, preaching with real moral fervour, but preferred the conservative approach. Following the old traditions of the clergy and the customs of yesteryear, he kept his sermons moderate. This is important because in all Austen's novels we see an inherent conservative view. When Elizabeth Bennet moulds Darcy, for instance, it is not to make him a completely new man, but simply to adapt his old aristocratic ways to suit a more modern climate. The loss of Darcy's pride is not a revolution, but a modification of what has gone before. Jane had an older and only sister, Cassandra, and together they attended a rather miserable school in Southampton before being sent home because they fell ill with putrid fever. Schools in those days were breeding grounds for death and disease. They then attended a second school in Reading, which appears to have been somewhat superior and more inspiring, but returned home in the mid-1780s to be educated by their father and their older brothers, James and Henry. Their chief activities seem to have been playing the piano, drawing, writing letters, performing in amateur plays, and walking in the countryside, but not far because it was considered dangerous. And as Jane especially enjoyed dancing, they would periodically attend balls in the neighbourhood. They did not, however, participate in the outdoor activities of their brothers, who rode, hunted, and went shooting. But crucially, being cooped up indoors much of the time, Jane developed the habit of writing.